a remote village of Ekume, life had always been simple and peaceful. The men worked hard in the fields and the women tended to their homes. But everything changed one sweltering afternoon when Amina, a woman of unparalleled beauty, arrived in the village. She was dressed in a flowing white robe, her dark skin glowing under the sun, and her eyes held an irresistible allure. From the moment she stepped into the market, every man she passed seemed to fall under her spell. They could not stop looking at her, nor could they resist approaching her. It was as if she had a magic pull that none of them could break. Hey, tell me, now who could be this? Who could be this girl? At first, the villagers welcomed Amina with curiosity. She had come from a distant land, a revealer seeking rest, and perhaps a new place to call home. However, her presence began to stir unease among the women, especially when they noticed the men who spent time with Amina returning to their homes strangely subdued. It wasn't until Kofi, a strong young farmer, was found dead after a night spent with her that the villagers began tones. The body was cold and lifeless, with an expression of terror frozen in his face. Amina, however, seemed unaffected, continuing her walk through the village as though nothing had happened. Whispers of foul play began to circulate, but no one could prove that Amina was responsible. How now? How? Every man sleeping with this girl and there was no evidence. Kofi suddenly was just the beginning. In the days that followed, more men fall victim of the strange death after encountering Amina. Each time, the men would spend a night with her, and by morning, their bodies were found lifeless and cold, their faces contorted in fear. The villagers, gripped by growing anxiety, began to wonder if the death were truly accidental. Some whispered that Amina was a witch, sent to destroy the men of the village. The elders convened, and after much debate, they concluded that there was something unnatural about her, something more than mere coincidence. But even with suspicion growing, no one could find concrete evidence of her involvement in the death. Like, you tell me, how can a girl sleep with someone and in the morning they wake up, he's dead? Like, for real? Amina, come on, spill it, girl. And among the men, a group of young warriors, including Today and Juma, volunteered to uncover the truth. They had seen the brother die, and the fear of losing more men pushed them to action. They approached Amina curiously, determined to learn what dark power lay behind her mesmerizing beauty. Despite their resolve, none of them could resist her charm. You made the play now. When Amina turned her eyes upon Today, the pull was irresistible. He stayed with her for the night, convinced that he could learn the truth without falling victim of her cause. But the next morning, Today was found dead. His body pale and lifeless. But like the others before him, the villagers was on edge, now certain that something far darker than they could comprehend was at work. As fear spread like wildfire through Ekume, Olamide, the village healer, began to suspect that the deaths were not caused by any ordinary means. She had lived in Ekume all her life, and she had seen many strange things, but this was something different. After much reflection, Olamide called old legend she had heard as a child, stories of women who were caused by the gods, women whose beauty and sexuality were linked to death. The spirit of these women were said to be possessed by vengeful serpent, spirit that fed off the life force of the men they seduced. Determined to understand more, Olamide sought the counsel of the village elders. They had always been wary of the supernatural, but the mounting death left them with little but to consider Olamide's theory. Together, they sent word to other nearby village, hoping to learn if any of them had experienced similar occurrences. Like, hey, this was too much. This was too much. But as the day passed, more men continued to die, and no one was able to stop Amina. The healer felt a deep and settling truth. Amina herself might not be aware of the full extent of her cause. The spirit that had taken hold of her was ancient, and to free her or the village from it would require a powerful ritual. What kind of juju be this? One that would not come without sacrifice. This story is shocking now. You dey play with that. That night, as the moon rose high in the sky, the warriors gathered outside Amina's hut. They had prepared for everything. Sacred herbs, charms, and the knowledge that they would need to stay united in their resolve. When Amina appeared before them, her beauty once again took their breath away. Hey! This girl is beautiful now. How firm, resisting her charm. With Olamide's guidance, they performed the ritual meant to break the curse, but just as they thought they had succeeded, Amina screamed in agony, her body writhing as the serpent spirit fought against them. The warriors struggled to hold their ground, but the power of the curse was too strong. In the end, it was Amina herself who made the ultimate sacrifice, realizing the destructions she had caused. She offered herself to the spirit, breaking the curse, but at the cost of her own life. With Amina's death, the village of Ekume was finally freed from the curse that had claimed so many lives. The men who had been lost were mourned, and the village slowly began to rebuild. Olamide, who had witnessed the terrifying power of the serpent spirit, became the village's spiritual leader. Revered for her wisdom and her understanding of the force behind the material world, the elders praised her for her insight and guidance, and they vowed never to forget the lesson they had learned, that beauty can hide darkness, and that some curses are far older than anyone can imagine. Yet, there was an air of melancholy over the village. What's this melancholy? Amina had been a victim of a curse that had twisted her into something monstrous, a creature of seduction and death. Her beauty had been her curse, and in the head it had consumed her. The village would remember her not as a temperate or a murderer, but as a magic soul, trapped by the force beyond her control. And as the years passed, the story of Amina would be told as a warning to future generations like us Gen Z. The warning of the future generation of the power of ancient spirit and the price of desire. The village of Ekume would never be the same, but they would continue stronger and wiser in the face of the unknown. Hey, someone could come from nowhere, starts seducing our men, our village men, and then making them, after making love with them, a man dies.